Thanks so much, everyone. Hi, good morning. I'm Jessica Korzeniowska. I'm here to talk to you today about adventures in systems engineering using fantasy adventure to bring the power of systems engineering to your organization. I am the director and principal systems engineer at Good Witch Systems Engineering, which is my own consultancy. We deliver systems engineering training, consultancy, and other magic in a number of different industries. I've got a background in nuclear and also the space industry as well. And I'm also an author with INCOSA UK, who are the International Council on Systems Engineering in the UK. They're soon to be IFSE, the Institute for Systems Engineering. And the subject of my presentation today is a book that I had published with them. I published that in 2023, and a second and potentially a third are both due in 2025. Just a brief explanation about Good Witch Systems Engineering. I set this up last year. There's two main problems that we've identified that engineering companies have, and that's that they need to manage their technical projects in a certain way, and they're unable to do that. And they can't engage their team with systems engineering to be able to manage those projects in the way that they need. So what we aim to do is to come into organizations, get the team engaged and managing technical projects in the way that they need to, with minimal time, effort, and cost to the team. And the way that we do this is to provide inventive, engaging, and fun training. When people have fun, they remember what they're taught. We always have a practical element to our training as well, so people feel equipped to go back into their projects and start delivering, start implementing these skills that they've learned in systems engineering straight away. You can find us at www.goodwitcheng.com, and you can subscribe to our newsletter, which is not your average dull mailer, using this QR code here. Today I'm going to talk to you about what is Adventures in Systems Engineering, some of the philosophy behind it, the content of the course, and how you can bring adventures to your organization. Abel, I didn't set a timer through this, but will you nudge me when I'm near the end of my
Sure,
time?
yeah, I will. Yeah,
Thank you.
No worries. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Okay. First off then, what is Adventures in Systems Engineering? I get asked this a lot. Is it a book? Is it a training course? It's actually both. So the book is published by INCOSA UK, and it takes readers through how to deliver a systems engineering training course. It also could be used as a self-study guide as well. Everything is in there for somebody to be able to take the book and be able to take themselves through the entire training course themselves. To add confusion, it's actually two books. It's the training manual and it's the workbook. And I do have a copy. I thought it was upstairs in my case from another conference I was at this week. So you have the training manual, which is the real thick book. When people say, "Did you write a book?" This is what I'm thinking of in my head. And the workbook, which accompanies this. And this is given to each of the attendees on the course. And it's a notebook, basically, for them to write down their answers during the course. So it's two books. There's also an accompanying slide pack that goes with it. I'm going to show you a bit of that in a minute. And it's used by this whole pack, if you like, this whole training experience is used by organizations, universities, after-school clubs. We've run this, or it has been run with work experience students as young as 14, university students, placement students in companies, apprentices, new graduates, new systems engineers, people who've transferred to the discipline later, and non-technical staff such as project management and legal teams. So it has a massive variety in its audience of who it can be applied to. It's really for people who are working in all areas of complex engineering projects, whether or not they have a technical background or not. I also get asked a lot, how does the fantasy element work? Because it's called Adventures in Systems Engineering. That's not a typical name for an engineering textbook. And there is a fantasy story that works all the way through the book. But how does it work? The whole training course is an engineering life cycle mapped onto a fantasy quest. So if you're familiar at all with systems engineering, the V model, which is really just, it's shaped like a V, and you start with the need for what you need to deliver. You work through this V cycle, and at the end, it takes you all the way from idea to decommissioning of your system, cradle to grave. That V model becomes an enchanted valley that teams sitting the course have to journey across over the duration of the time. In their teams, they define, design, and deliver an imaginary rescue system to save a village of elves that have been cursed by an evil sorcerer using systems engineering along the way. And they encounter different characters and scenarios along their journey that prompt them into completing different systems engineering activities. This whole thing is designed to present systems engineering in an accessible, memorable, and fun way for everyone. Going back to what I said about the aim of my company, Good Witch Systems Engineering, we believe that when people have fun, when it's memorable for them, they're more likely to call that knowledge back. It's why we play with children to help them learn. It's why there's gamification in things like Duolingo, or all these other apps that are out there now. When we're playing, when we're having a good time, we learn better, and we're more able to use the knowledge that we've learned. There's some other founding philosophy underneath this, which some of you may or may not have heard of, Goldie Blocks, which were a toy company in the States a good number of years ago now. But they did some research into gender differences in child development to try and find out why girls were not engaging with building toys. Because if you work a lot in STEM outreach, or even trying to get more diverse teams in engineering, it always goes back to, well, engineering grad, like diverse engineering grads, specifically women, are not coming through uni. Well, why are they not doing that? Well, they're not doing the exams they need to at school. Well, why are they not doing that? And it goes back and back and back to when girls are younger, they get these ideas that they can't do maths, they can't do construction things, that's not for them. So this woman, Debbie Sterling, was looking into this. She did a lot of in-depth research, and she found that boys have strong spatial skills. They love construction toys, they dive straight in. Girls, on the other hand, have superior verbal skills. They love reading stories and characters. But more than that, there needs to be a purpose to what they're doing. So her idea was that these building toys come with a story. So one of them was you build a parade float for your dog, obviously. The kids would follow along this story, and they're building this toy as they go. There's a purpose to it. There's a reason. And then there would be changes in the story. I don't know, another dog wants to come and sit on the float, so you have to add another place for it to sit. We've made some changes. So you're going through design iteration through this book. These toys were wildly popular with girls and boys too. And it shows that when you try and make it inclusive for one group, you actually just make it more fun for everybody. I bring this up because this research came to me in when I was in my early 20s, but it was something that I knew already instinctively and that I had experienced. When I was about 8 years old, I'd never had an interest in Lego before, ever, not interested, until somebody bought me a Harry Potter Lego set because I loved Harry Potter. From then on, I was obsessed with Lego. I loved building, I loved construction. I credit that with what then got me interested in engineering. And it was exactly this. I had a purpose to it. There were characters that I knew. There were scenes that I wanted to build. If I wanted to make up my own stories, I'd have to build something for that. So seeing this research really resonated with me. And that's something that has gone into the Adventures book. This idea that if you make it accessible, you're reaching a more diverse group of people. We obviously have a gender problem in engineering. And I suspect that potentially one of the reasons that is we're not presenting engineering in a way that is accessible to all minds. We teach it in a very specific way. And so my thinking was that, can we present engineering in a different way? Can we teach it in a different way to what we usually do? Will that help us grow more diverse teams, make the material more accessible to people who would consider themselves non-technical, who would say, no, I couldn't possibly be an engineer? We'll go into some benefits later, but it seems like that's paying off. Okay, into the good stuff, the content of the course. I'm going to read you this extract, which is the premise for the course. Once upon a time, in an enchanted valley far, far away, there lived a peaceful community of elves. Evil forces swept across the land and cursed their community, leaving them stranded without a hope of rescue. With the help of your friends and the Good Witch of Systems Engineering, can you work your way through a series of magical challenges and quests to save them? You may be thinking, oh, I know where she got the name of her company from. You would be correct. The course has 16 chapters, all the way from introduction to systems engineering, stakeholder engagement to get that original needs statement, all the way through to verification and validation, and an intense boss battle with the evil sorcerer at the end, which is my favorite part of running the course. The participants never see it coming. It's fantastic every time. Each chapter has a narrative, illustrations, and a theory section, and also an activity to start applying the theory. Back again to, it was really important to me that they have an opportunity to practice this in a safe training environment so that when they go back to their desks, they feel confident applying these skills. The book and the course also have answers given in it to help facilitators or self-study students to mark the work, to be able to get concrete feedback on their work and to be able to improve. And there's also a variety of tailoring points throughout with suggestions of how people running this course in their own companies can add material relevant to them at appropriate moments and help build a richer, more specific training course for their particular company that they're running it in. Now I just want to walk you through some of the slides because it's been beautifully illustrated by my very talented sister, and it would be a real shame if we talked about adventures and you didn't see them. Please note that Incozy UK owns the copyright to this slide pack and any text and illustrations contained within it. So if you take screenshots and post it on the internet and put it as yours, you're going to get into big trouble. Not that anybody would, but I have to say it. So here we go. I'm just going to switch slide packs. Okay, so I just want to take you through, actually it's easier if we do this, a couple of the chapters that we have. There's 16 chapters running all the way through, and this slide pack is given to people who purchase the book. Each chapter has a scroll that goes alongside it, and it tells you more about the real world systems engineering activity. Whilst the fantasy element is a really important part of this, we always want to be bringing it back to the real activities, the real names used for things, so that people can have practical knowledge of that when they go back into their projects. So this gives people a little taster of whether or not it's done once or iteratively in a project, what the real names are, and whether it's something that you absolutely have to be doing in projects, or whether it's, you can tailor it for the context that you're working on. These are some of the beautiful illustrations. So these follow parts of the story. This is where the Good Witch of Systems Engineering meets you in this magical world that you've suddenly been transported to. And she pulls you through a shrub to be like, quick, get in, we don't know who's listening. I'm going to explain this quest to you. This is the map that adventurers are given at the start of their journey. Later, spoiler alert, this is revealed to be the V model, but this is the map they follow. So this is where they start in this elven village over here, where the mayor of Dobberton gives them their brief for the project. And they move down the valley through this enchanted forest, out on a river, and they meet these characters along the way back up. And here's the cursed elf village surrounded by treacherous waters that they're trying to rescue. This one is my favorite one. This is the Good Witch of Systems Engineering. The adventurers ask, but how do we know you're not an evil sorcerer? And she laughs and laughs and laughs and says, don't be silly, let's get on with our adventure. I just want to show you the structure of one of the chapters with the theory and the activity that I just discussed. So we've got more illustrations to set the scene. We have characters that appear. This is the mayor of Dobberton who gives you your quest and says you need to go rescue our friends in the other village. So this is part of the narrative that's at the beginning. We then have theory. We have definitions here, the purpose of the activity we're telling you about, and this scroll pops up again. Saying you might recognize this as stakeholder needs definition, a listing stakeholder requirements, or you might hear the word customer instead of stakeholder. So again, that's trying to make it inclusive within the industry as well in terms of the multitude of terms that we use. Some more theory, putting into practice. This is where teams start to use what they've learned. There's parts in the workbook that they go to, and they fill sections in to report back to the rest of the teams. And this also acts as a record for them. They take this back, it sits on their desk, and they can go back to it at any time. And then there's an activity in this one in particular where you have to ask the mayor your question that you've put together as being a sensible question to ask your stakeholder. And then you've got your answers at the back. Here's some, at the end of the chapter, here are some sensible questions you could have asked and some more notes on how to do the activity properly. So that's just a little taster into the slide pack. We put a lot of effort into making the actual format of them really accessible. So we've chosen fonts and colors and spacing on the slides that meet different requirements for people with learning difficulties and vision impairments. So hopefully this is this is something that people can really engage with, no matter their background or context. All right, back to these. The feedback that we've had from running the course has been wildly positive. We hear a lot from non-technical staff that they suddenly understand what they're hearing about in these meetings, particularly project managers. They understand the terms that are being used in complex projects, and they're also able to implement the technical methods. They understand why they're asking people for requirements documents, why this thing called model-based systems engineering. I understand why we're doing that. It gives people a really strong context, and it helps them to engage with the project more. So it helps them to be more included in the project, even if they don't have a technical background. Multiple early career professionals have changed their discipline as a result of sitting this course. We've given the course to groups of graduates who are maybe from mechanical, electrical, all different kinds of engineering disciplines. And they've changed their discipline. And I'm still in contact with a couple of them, and they have become really fantastic systems engineers. So this is, quite not scary, but, in presenting this material in this way, if we hadn't have done that, that's talent we would have been missing out on or having to wait a lot longer for. So I'm really proud of that particular statistic, if you like, of the course. We also get feedback that attendees start to apply what they learn immediately. Back to the project managers, I was in an organization where a few weeks after the course, I checked in with one of the attendees, and she said, I was passing somebody on the stairs who I did the course with, and I said, "Oh, are you doing your functional breakdown?" I said, "Yeah, I am. It's been really useful." So people feel confident because they've had that practice, because it's been in a very safe and informal learning environment. And they've gone into their project straight away and started implementing their ideas. And they're also interested in trying to get to grips with more complex systems engineering ideas to further their understanding. So they feel motivated to continue that learning as well. There was something that popped into my head, which was also going to be a great benefit from the course. I have forgotten. I hope I will come back to it. So how can you bring adventures into your organization and start spreading the magic of systems engineering? There are two ways that you can run the adventures course for your company if you think they might benefit from this. You can do it yourself. You can buy the book in the Incosi UK online store. I've got the link here in case you get sent the slides. Alternatively, you can go to incosiuk.org and click on their online store. You can also book a course. I run this with a company called Scarecrow Consultants, who I work in very close collaboration with. They are an Incosi endorsed training provider. This course is also an endorsed training provider course, so you can be sure that you're getting the top standard in the industry for systems engineering training. We have public dates that are going to become available for 2025, but those aren't set yet. But you can also book a private course for us to come into your organization and deliver it to your team directly. So there's the email address you can contact if you want more information. But if you contact Goodwich Systems Engineering or myself, we will put you in contact with them and get you to the right place to book that. That is all I have to say to you today. I'm happy to take questions, but also you can reach me at jessica.korzeniowska@goodwichend.com. Thank you very much.